What's good with the YouTube? You already know, Big Flocko from a convict's perspective, man. And I'm going to smash, dash, and slide on through with a little bit of energy, man. And we're going to be discussing some stuff that's been going on in Solano, man. I'm going to be posting a memorandum that just came out through IFC, which is Inmate Family Council, which basically coordinates information between families in Solano State Prison. So there's been a lot of speculation about what's been going on in Solano. According to some people that I know that are tied in over there in Solano, they've been moving out a whole lot of Northerners. The 1 yard has been basically depleted. There's maybe about 100 Nortenos, maybe more. I don't know the exact figure. They had close to 300 and 400 Nortenos in that yard, I heard. They were deep. They've been bringing new arrivals, but a lot of those have been mainly Southsiders. So they have this building called Building 7, which is the orientation building for this prison, okay? So allegedly, they were supposed to bring the Bulldogs in June, okay? The MAC reps were told this back in April, okay? This memorandum has a couple things that are totally different. One, they are going to be allowed to do visits, okay? Never before, ever, at any of these institutions where you go through orientation, are you allowed to get visits or anything prior to your 14 days of basically CTQ of your orientation. Now, this is being allowed for whatever reasons, I don't know, but this is raising red flags. So you got IFC, who's being told by CSP Solano that they're not going to bring the Bulldogs there, they're not going to bring this and that, right? But you have the MAC reps on these yards that have been told since April that they're going to be bringing Bulldogs to the yard. Allegedly, they're supposed to house them in Building 7, and then per MAC reps, I heard, they're going to figure out where they're going to be housed. Now, right now, who's telling the truth? Now, Solano hasn't been forthcoming on a lot of things that have occurred over there at this facility. Okay, so there was a bus that went to Calipatria Monday. There's supposed to be another bus going to Centinela. A lot of people, at first, they thought it was just those with short points, but now they're moving people out for no particular reasons. So the Nortenos are basically being the focal point by administration for whatever reason. They're focusing their attention on them. Last night they hit Building 11, right, which is on B yard, and they took, I think, 5 or 6 individuals to the hole. Now, this wasn't no just random search. This was a 5-hour search that they were in this building searching these cells, just the Nortenos. So apparently administration is trying to basically spread the Nortenos out. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to cause a lot of problems. They're trying to just target them based at this facility. For whatever reasons that hasn't been disclosed, apparently, the families are worried because if this Bulldogs are going to be housed, right, in Building 7, and to go to the level 2 yard, this is what's being said, right? But they're going to be allowed to go to visits. What's going to happen in the visiting room? Everybody knows that the visiting room is supposed to be sacred, but there's going to be a lot of walks. There's going to be a lot of this and that. In addition, they're allowing them to go to the chow hall, right, as well as be able to use the phone and so forth, day room. Now, allegedly, it's supposed to be during separate hours and whatnot, but never before would they allow this. In all the years that people have been doing time, orientation, you stay in orientation, So there's a lot of things going on. And it just seems like that Solano was pretty much recognized as a stronghold, for the Nortenos. They were deep on almost every yard. And it seems like now they're trying to send a lot of people who are borderline points. They're trying to send to Folsom. They've been sending buses to Calipatria, Centinela, all kinds of different locations. And this word that the Bulldogs are coming is the staff are trying to deny it, right, to the families. Because families are calling up there, they're concerned, right? But in return, the MAC reps are being told something way, way different. CDCR is going to do whatever they choose to do. And there's always a reason behind what they do, So it seems like they're going to be moving a lot of Northerners out of this facility and to try to eventually put all Bulldogs on this yard. A lot of cells are, particularly on the A yard, there's a lot of single cells right now, I was told. Or they're moving cellies together out of that facility. So it's almost like they're trying to have a plan to get the Nortenos out of Solano and bring a whole different type of selected class there. Um, Same thing with other facilities. You know, I got this one at Hatchby Yard, which is basically a non-active yard. They call them non-designated yards. And if there's rumors that they're going to be bringing the bulldogs there as well, I can't substantiate any of this as far as being truth, right? But the stuff that's going on in Solano is very interesting. Looks like they're trying to create a scenario to where there's going to be some problems, there's going to be some conflict, you know, in the visiting room, on the yard, doors are going to open up. Who knows? They've been upset ever since this end all hostility, you know, and so you've been seeing more and more incidents, hearing of more and more incidents recently, you know, and it's just the Nortenos that are being focused on in this facility, not the whites, not the Sureños, not the Africanos. So whatever was going on these facilities, these yards, apparently administration feels the need to break them up. So now they're sending them to different facilities so they can spread these Nortenos thin on every yard. They're no longer going to be on yards where they're like 200, 300 deep. You know, they're kind of going back to the old days, to where when they were on, when Nortenos were on the yards back in the days, it wouldn't be uncommon to be on a yard where there's 20, 30 hits. You know, and I think what they're going to end up doing is eventually they're going to slowly start to put people on non-designated yards. That's what they've been doing. So when they move all these people out, Folsom, Delano, Calpat, Centinela, they are putting them on these non-designated yards, not 20, 30 at a time, but maybe 2 or 3, maybe 1, and testing the waters, you know. And so they're creating a type of scenario to where either an individual is going to either lock it up or they're going to get off. You know, and that whole, they believed at first that it was mainly going to be those that had less than 2 years. No, they're not putting any type of conditions like that right now. They've been moving out busloads out of Solano. Solano's numbers on the level 3 yards have dwindled. You know what I'm saying? They're not as deep out there, you know? So I think it's kind of ironic that you got IFC being told one thing, the families, they get their newsletters, they get their emails and whatnot, but yet you got the MAC reps on these yards and the inmates being told something totally different. You know, so we'll see what's going to happen, man. You know, this reintegration stuff has really took notice about, what, 2-3 months ago, man. You know, there's some other stuff going on with other SMY inmates that are having issues about being put on non-designated yards. You know, there's some rumors and speculation that, you know, some are willing to, you know, refuse to go and so forth. And you've heard all kinds of crazy stories, man. So CDCR is basically going back to how it was back in the 80s and 90s. They're not going to cater to the inmates. You know what I'm saying? You're going to just be thrown out there with whoever. You know what I'm saying? Back then, during our time era, when I was active, they could take you, say you're the only Norteño, and they could send you someplace like Chino. Knowing damn well there's no Norteños on that yard, but they would still do it. You know, or Calipatria. You know, I know 2 homeboys that got stabbed in Calipatria. Cornell from Bryan Street and Smiley from North Hollands. So at any given moment, at any given time, administration puts you in a position that leaves you to where you don't know what's going to happen. You know, that was a scary thing about CDCR back in the days, man, is that they didn't really have a separation from actives and inactives. You know, the SNY stuff really didn't come into the fold until I think maybe 2002, 2003. You had certain yards that were no good, right? But they were still considered active yards. You know, I think the first really official SNY or PHU was actually in Soledad, I think, back in the 80s. Then it got moved to Corcoran and so forth. And see, I think the only place that's really going to be classified as a complete 100% inactive yards going to be places like Mill Creek. I think some yards in Tehachapi and Lancaster. But other than that, I think it's going to be a free-for-fall. And I don't think administration knows what they're going to do. And part of the reason, right, why everything's been so hesitant is for 2 reasons. One is because of the outbreak that they had, you know what I'm saying, with the COVID. That kind of separated a lot of things that were going to occur. 2, there's been a lot more pressure and push being put by families, by people that are on YouTube and whatnot, that administration is pretty much trying to basically fucking cover their ass. You know what I'm saying? Because if they really start to integrate these people like they want to, and someone ends up dying, then you got CDCR that's going to be accountable for someone's life. You know, they already have enough scrutiny over the numerous killings that have been occurring. both on the active and inactive side. So they're going to try to justify it that, whether they're active or inactive, they're killing each other. We can't control that. We can just do the best of our abilities to put these inmates in an environment where we think that they can program. But it all boils down to the Bulldogs. There's some yards I heard in Corcoran where the Bulldogs are able to coexist with certain groups. Traditionally, they were not able to. But I think that is the main concern with the administration right now, because the Bulldogs don't want to walk on SNY. But yeah, I heard that they've been slowly trying to put them on certain yards. You know what I'm saying? So where do you house them? And you can't continue to put people in a position that you know what the outcome is going to be. And I think that the more attention that is focused on what's going on in these prisons, the more we can make sure that these inmates are able to do their time and enjoy the privileges and incentives, and as well as the ability to learn trades. The whole purpose of being in prison is a form of punishment, but you're not supposed to be there and be punished while you're there. You're supposed to be rehabilitated, be able to be in programs and so forth. I'm going to post this memorandum because it's kind of interesting that they're going to allow inmates who just get there to go to visits. It's almost like it looks like a setup, but they're claiming to the families that the Bulldogs are not coming. But the MAC reps on these yards, yes, they have MAC reps on these yards. I guess things have changed, are saying different. I guess, and I posed that question, well, MAC reps, they said ever since the hunger strikes that occurred in prison and so forth, they've been able to designate certain people as far as MAC reps on these yards to communicate in case there's any grievances and whatnot. These guys that came out the chute, they want to maintain their mainline status. So I guess there's going to be certain things that are going to be accepted that years before they weren't accepting. When I was in the system, in the beginning, there was MAC reps. It wasn't an issue. Then later on, it became an issue towards there should be no MAC reps on these yards. And, that's going to be a very touchy subject right there, man. So that's what's going on in Solano, man. Tehachapi, that they're allegedly going to be bringing some Bulldogs to A yard, which is a SNY yard. But all this stuff that I'm talking about could change at any given moment, man. And CDCR is putting out a lot of misinformation. They're telling families one thing, but the inmates are being told different things. And the same thing, we got the tablets that are going on in these facilities now that if your family are linked up to your account, as far as they can keep tabs of when you're online. So say if you're just watching a movie or something, it's going to show that you're online to families, and it's going to create a lot of friction with couples. You know what I mean? There's been accusations of certain females thinking that their man that's locked up is talking to females because all they're doing is they're watching on their little tablet and shit, man. So it's basically a cold setup, man. And CDCR, man, they're going to do everything that they can to make sure that they generate money, man. I think the outpour of, certain devices that inmates were getting, they realized that there was a lot of money being generated. So why not we give these guys some tablets and get some money? The same thing with our packages and whatnot. We used to be able to get our packages sent from the streets. They used the threat of people sending in drugs as an excuse to get rid of it. And then they gave it to certain vendors who were pretty much tied into the union, believe it or not, that are going to up the price from what you would normally get out there on the streets. Cold move, man. Anyways, this is a little update what's going on in Solano. Tehachapi. The Nortenos are being sent out to Calipatria, Centinela, Old Folsom, different facilities, man. And it looks like they're slowly starting to do it. They're taking, buses are going out a little bit. And I think Solano was really recognized as one of the more deeper, well-established Norteno facilities. And it seems like the staff are breaking that place up for whatever reasons, man. Like I said, they hit a building 11 last night and took 5 or 6 people to the hole. And it wasn't no short little search. It was like a 5 to 6 hour search. So they were looking for something. Anyways, this is your boy Flacco, Convict's Perspective. Hope you guys have a positive, productive day. I'm out.